Where familiar territories meet, we go Mahou a Mahou, pitting magical girl shows head to head to have a heart-to-heart about their genre content and our heartfelt opinions.
My name is Grant.
And I'm Brantley. Heads up, spoilers on the way. Check the description, see if you're safe to listen. Magia record, Puella, Magi, Madoka, Magica side story, season 2, and Takt Op Destiny are not really alike on the surface, but Grant and I were watching them synchronously with each other, and independently we both kind of came to the conclusion that we wanted to review these shows together, so here we are. Both of them do have roots in mobile games, and mixed media just in general, and with those mobile games that they're sort of springing from, both of them kind of lean into this gacha style of gameplay, so just as like a precursor to get everybody caught up, just in case. If you didn't know, gacha is an acronym. It stands for Girls Are Collectible. How amusing.
Wait, are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes, I am. It's a lie. It's a joke.
I would not put it past it.
Hey, sometimes you collect a boy. Jokes aside, we feel like... Okay, this is a review on the anime of these shows. Like, this is just anime. We have not played the games. Takt Op isn't even out right now, as of recording.
Yeah, and as far as I know, they have no plans to bring it to the West. They probably will, but they didn't say... They have no announcement for it.
Yeah, which is weird considering that it's set in the United States and seems to have, like, a Western appeal thing going. But anyways, we're gonna acknowledge that, like... the gacha part of this is like in the DNA of these shows implicitly. It's hard to watch these without feeling like that hook is there, and so we're gonna bring it up even though we haven't played the games.
Another reason we picked these two is because while watching them, we both figured that we wouldn't have enough to talk about.
That's true too.
We were like, maybe we can't talk about this for more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, but just in case we're digging ourselves a hole with that and end up talking long anyways, we should just jump right into it. So, Grant, do you want to go ahead and give us a summary of each show?
Yeah, let's start with Magia record. It's fucked. Like, goddamn, is Magia record just a fuckery of writing? The first season is very contained in itself, and you can kind of accept that it's going to be a spin-off. But the second season starts off with a full episode dedicated to the original cast of Madoka Magica.
Yeah. By the way, if you want to hear our thoughts on either of those things, Magia Record Season 1 or Madoka, then we do have episodes for those. Go check out our channel. Plug.
Our Madoka episode was one of our first, was our first Mahou, and one of 3 now. And it was with Magical Girl Raising Project, which is also, I think, a gacha game.
Something.
It might have became a gacha game, but I think it started out as an anime.
Yeah.
Either way. So, in Season 2, it's more of the same. Yachio's looking for Iroha. She's gone because of the ends of Season 1. They find her, and then the show gets really boring. The cult of Magius is getting a lot more powerful and influential, and their whole plan is to make it so that the rest of the world has to take in the despair that the magical girls do, because they don't, they take all the despair for the rest of the world. It's okay. I don't really have anything to say about it. I watched it, and I got very little. There were some really good parts. The first episode's great. But that's the one that wasn't about Magia record.
Good first episodes is one of the things that these shows have in common, I think.
It is. And then Takt Op Destiny is about a post-apocalyptic world in which these monsters called D2s have risen to destroy humanity because they fucking hate music. They're just like the neighbors that don't want you to play your music just at all. And so they get real pissed off, and so they just hate that shit. So anytime music comes, they just go fucking ballistic and start killing everything. And then what do you know? Music caused these girls to turn into superheroes. And so those superheroes are now also fighting the D2s. And you follow a cross-country road trip of 3 characters, which is Takt, or Takto, or I'm going to call him Takt, because that's how it's spelled.
And I think the play on words is, like, tactical ops, because I've never heard, like, Takto as a name before. I could be wrong on this, but, like, it's... whatever. It doesn't matter. We're calling him Takt for the time being. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then there's Anna, who is just, the regular person who's just done with shit. And her dead sister's body being piloted by a ghost named Destiny, or Cosette, depending on what episode you're on. So let's talk a little bit about Magia Records Season 2 first. I think that's what we'll go through, not like a plot analysis, but we can go through the characters, what we liked about the show, what we didn't like about it, before we start talking about the gacha influence on these 2 shows.
Yeah.
So, as I said, Magia Record has a very strong first episode, and I think it's because it leans heavily on the original cast. They're just so much more developed. The animation in that episode is absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And it honestly could have been you could have thrown it in Madoka Magica. You could have thrown it in the original show and been like, here is a part where Homura is helping Madoka. And it would have been good. It's a good episode. And it still kind of plays into the whole thing that we really like about Magia Record, which is the rumors and the mystery aspect that is being made, the USA. And you kind of get into Homura's mindset that, if you've seen the original show. I do not think anybody that hasn't seen Madoka would enjoy Magia Record.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that they get to cheat a little bit. They get to start off strong by using old cast members, because you don't really get here without that entry point, right?
Right.
I don't know how someone would find their way to Magia Record without getting through Madoka first.
Right.
At least not from where we're coming from like a, like being a Western audience, like that's practically impenetrable.
Right.
Going without Madoka as like your vehicle in. So.
And so you get to see, so if Homura is trying to protect Madoka, so that when she does her little like monologues to herself, she talks about how this is such a weird timeline, and that's really interesting to see. And as someone who loves it when these things connect, I really hope that means they are playing into something. But the more I watch the show, the more I don't think they have any grand ideas of how to make this an overarching plot other than what is going on here. Mm-hmm. So the first episode with them is almost completely disconnected from the rest of the series.
Yes.
You have the next episode is boss bitch Yachio going in to find her Iroha who's gone missing. And she runs into Iroha's old partner, who I don't even remember her name.
Kuroe, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a little bit more about the effects of doppels and how they work. They have a pretty decent fight. And then they become friends. I mean, basically it's so quick. There is only 8 episodes in this season.
Yes.
And so they join forces with the original team to stop the Wings of Magius from taking over the world. And honestly, I still don't get why the Wings of Magius are considered so evil to them. Like, they do some pretty crazy shit, and we find some pretty whack shit. But, like, their end goal isn't, like, a genocide.
Yeah, it's odd. I'll admit, like, I get lost in Season 2's plot, motivations for the Wings of Magius and whatnot. Because right, it feels like their methods are dramatic for sure. And they're definitely like they have some odd ways of going about things, like creating a gigantic artificial witch that they're feeding Uasa to, and other witches they've captured, I think, and it's like, and then that's gonna try to like, that has to do with stopping Walpurgis and all this, like, it's a lot, and I don't know why it keeps bringing up slap fights between people who aren't in Wings of Magius and people who are, like,
right.
It feels like so often they're like, we are the Wings of Magius and here's our plan, and they're like, well, that plan's stupid, and they fight about it. But it's like, why are we expending energy on this?
Yeah,
it's so far estranged from the simplicity of original Madoka, which was, hey, you have the resource to live and I don't. I'd like that from you, so I'm gonna try to take it. You know, like, you don't get that level of point A to point B in Magia Record anymore.
Yeah, and the previous characters from the original season 1 of Magia Record are just insanely flat. I can't even remember a single thing that that like Felicia did or Sana did. You know, they're there, they're fighting, but they take a backseat to the original cast, which is, you know, it's weird because I like the original cast a lot more, but I feel like you need to, if you're going to bring in new characters, they need to be your focus. I feel like the original cast should have been in episode 1, and their interaction should have been almost nothing with the new cast. But you basically see Madoka and Sayaka and Iroha and Yachio fighting side by side, and at first it's kind of cool, but then you realize it's cool because you're basically just being nostalgic for a better show.
Right, yeah. It's the effect that was intended by the game from the first place, which is riding the coattails of prior success, right? No one makes a gacha being like, I hope everybody really likes these characters that we're going to throw at them. Like, you either have some original designs which you know off the plate, or just like this shit is going to sell like hotcakes, or you have legacy. You have someone that people are familiar with. You could throw in and say, all right, we know you want it, come get it. And so the anime does have to make use of that, right? They have to reintegrate these characters that belong to a vastly different story, and that story had vastly different themes that they're not so compatible with, but they have to be there anyways. And so they take away the already limited screen time from the main cast, who was built for this, and so, like you said, the amount of time spent on the characters that we have assorted in the cast is like, there's nothing. It goes by and it's done. Very little actually happens, I feel like. Even though there's constantly stuff happening, very little substance sort of like processes in all that. It's odd.
And some of the episodes are just a mess on the production values.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The fucking truck, man.
Oh, that truck.
Yachio steals a truck, which is whack because we've seen magical girls move so much quicker by like hopping on buildings and shit, and so you'd imagine that their powers would allow them to be faster, or, you know, not have to ride in a literal rusted truck. But Yachio pulls up, honks a horn, she stole the truck, and they drive. And then Madoka and Iroha are like in the back shooting. I can't remember. Are they shooting? They're shooting witch familiars or Usa familiars. Yeah, and then
it's whatever they can paste on screen to be like the big bad filler. Like it's.
And then Yachio flips the truck, but it doesn't happen on screen. She says, "Hold on," and then the next scene, they're flipped over. It's awful.
It's odd.
Also, yeah. Never mind. Sorry.
You
continue.
go.
No, I thought there was only 7 episodes, but I forgot. Episode 8, and then the recap episode, because you needed a recap episode for 8 episodes. There's technically 9 episodes, but one of them's a recap episode.
Yeah. I also want to mention, like, as an aside, we found a weird glitch in one of the episode streams on Verve. I think it was episode 11.
It was the truck episode.
Yeah.
Which is not 11 because there's only 8 episodes, apparently.
Whoa. Oh, I was looking at the wrong part of my notes. So there's an episode on Verve, so it must have been episode 7 or 8, where there's just a weird audio glitch. I can't even describe like how it sounded, besides that it didn't sound like it was meant to be there.
It sounds like a cue beep. It sounds like you're trying to beep in someone to come on stage or to start a scene.
Yeah.
It's like boop.
And that just shows up. And checking the episode in another source where it was recorded elsewhere, it was not there. So if you're listening to this and you're curious, and you've already watched Magia Record, then hey, comment if you also heard that. I'd be interested to see if it was like only us and they fixed it really quickly, or like if other people found that too and that struck them as weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. There are scenes in the show that are an absolute delight to watch, with a ton of what's it called? Smears? Yeah. Yeah, there's like very good use of smearing. There's very good frames. In the camera angles are really good. And then there are some scenes that are just like whoever works on those specific episodes, they put a lot of love into it. But once they're done with it, they're like, no, we don't need to try anymore. And I'm sure that the budget's hard, but it's
the rift between them is very distinct. I feel like more often than not, I'm the type to say, like, have your big moments, then let everything else drop below average. Let that do its thing. But here it really interrupts things. I'll say this with Takt Op Destiny 2, but I think it especially hurts when it causes, like, incongruities with the chain of events you're watching play out. Stuff like
a truck flipping over.
For example, the truck is flipping suddenly, yeah, or how did they get here? Like, there's bits and pieces that are missing that, like, sure, you can mentally fill in, but it feels like you're doing a lot of gymnastics on behalf of the writers or storyboarders who weren't able to make it fit together in that amount of time. It's not something that I'm interested in, like, pointing fingers about, like, hey, who fucked up the show, but, like, it definitely makes for a jarring watch experience. The production value starts having those issues, and those issues sort of seem to increase the longer the show goes on. So, I can only hope that when they inevitably get their season 3, that they can even things out a little bit and hopefully not have such a rough time.
Right. I agree. And that's another problem with this season, is that to me, it seems like they wanted to do just season 1 and season 2, but for some reason they decided to split season 2 into 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
And the season 3, which I believe comes out relatively soon too.
There's some suffering going on here.
And
it's not the magical girl variety.
And there's times in Magia Record where it's such a charming show because of its downtime, but there is absolutely none in this show. Yeah. It is problem after problem after problem, and then it's one of the best parts about this show is that they like, it's like they realize they forgot to do anything with Surino in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
So they make her the villain.
She's like an enemy puppet, sort of. Yeah. It's odd.
It's not a well-directed show. It's And I honestly think that it's the problem with integrating a gacha game story into anime. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's odd to me, and I think we'll circle this back around with Takt Op too. But when this almost feels like a reaction to, or an oversteering to Magia Record being a side story based show. You know, they do a lot of character setup, and so it's like, all right, here's this person's little arc, here's this person's little arc, and like the climax as a result will be kind of weak, and it ends on a cliffhanger even in season 1. So it feels like the follow-up to that is, oh, well, now we're going to bring things to a head. We're going to take all of these threads and we're going to tie them together. But I almost don't think you should with this material. I imagine the gacha game does have like these big events where it's like, all right, you know, round up everybody you have and throw them at this boss battle thing, and then, you know, you go from there. You know, and once again, to clarify, we have no idea how much of the game this is even covering. Like, this might be like, oh, this was like the first big event of like 8, you know? And so in that sense, it might feel like they're even going really slow, but the fact that they have plot steered this season so hard, and that they've vacuum sealed it so tight without any room for these little character tangents anymore, it feels like they're misappropriating what this, you know, world was built for in the first place, to have this meandering, you know, experimental cycle of events. You know, we have all these characters with some amount of depth, and they can interrelate with each other, but no one is particularly married to each other, right? Like, you could basically ship Iroha with any other character, you know, that she, like, cares for. You know, it's, like, as a center point, like, that just kind of works, but none of them have, like, strong chemistry either, to, like, an amazing extent. Not even, like, her and Yachio. They just kind of depend on each other in, like, a consistent way, not so much like an emotionally interesting way. And so then when you're like, all right, it's time to take all that emotion that we've been budgeting and cash it out into a climax, well, there's not actually that much to do. They do a lot of exposition. They talk about the logistics of how all of these Wings of Magius plans are supposed to work out. And by then they have, you know, room left to give Saruno a mini arc about how she has, like, you know, high expectations that she's trying to meet. And she still has, you know, that survivor's guilt from, you know, her and Yachio's prior team. It's over before you know it. Which makes sense when, like, half of the season is the climax. Which used to be, you know, what would have been, like, a third of a regular season.
Right. And you also have this issue with all the major themes that Magia Records Season 1 started to put out just getting absolutely dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's you have this talk about working together and having this semi kind of group therapy with the people that you work with and your friends, and how talking it out is and like how doppels are supposed to. Doppels in the first season are like a metaphor for expressing your emotions and working on that. But doppels in this season are more akin to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, it's addicting. Don't do it, or else you're going to get addicted to using your doppel, and then you're going to turn into a real witch. And that's out of nowhere, right? Mm-hmm. I think they might have talked about it a little bit in season 1, but it takes this very strong theming that this side story had and turns it into absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's so contrived and so overwrought that it loses its original charms. There was something nice about having, you know, a Madoka-based side story. You know, something that wasn't trying to be the next big thing. Or not trying to have, like, this, like, very, you know, concentrated direction towards, like, you know, a fantasy sci-fi kind of plot. It was going to be something more tranquil than that. And I liked that. And that is no longer there.
Yep.
I'd understand if someone likes Magia Record better this way. But I don't think you and I are that type.
No, and to me, if you're going to do a side story of Madoka, it's interesting to play with the what ifs. What if there was a way to beat Kyubey? What if there was a way to figure out a different path? But in the end, it's Walpurgis Not, and that's it. It's always Walpurgis Not.
Yeah,
it always is. And I understand that that is an original theming in the original show, right? It's like the that's the theme. It always comes down to Walpurgis Not, and it always fucks up. But that's not what this show's supposed to be about, and I'm upset that they did it.
Yeah, like, okay, so in the, I remember like glazing over and seeing like part of the manga adaptation of Madoka, where when, spoilers for Madoka original, but when Madoka is like sort of healing or rescuing everybody, in the end, like the manga depicts what appears to be like maybe who becomes Walpurgis, like her like outfit theming kind of resembles that. And so like in a way, let's say that the magical girl who turns into that eventually becomes Walpurgis Nacht, if she learned how to use a doppel, in line with this season, maybe that wouldn't happen. But that's not what they're interested in. They're interested in throwing that exact same thing at you again. It feels like they're co-opting the prior successes of Madoka in a place where it doesn't really need to be.
A lot more than the first season did.
Yes. Yeah.
The first season, when the main characters from the original show came in, it was a cameo.
Yeah. And they were usually paired up with the existing characters to give them like a stepping stone. So it's like, here's a character you kind of relate to that we had from before. They're going to teach you a thing, and then they'll be gone. And I dig that,
Yeah, I did too. But they became basically the main characters, and God, Evil Mommy is just a stupid character.
Yeah.
Especially because you could do it in such a better way if you actually gave it time. But we don't see Mommy's like path to becoming part of Wings of Magi, especially because it would make sense for her character to do something like that, provided that it would help her protect her mentees. That's kind of what she was supposed to be, is she's the mentor big sister type. But we don't see that. We see her a little bit in the first season, and then at the end she's Holy Order Mommy or whatever. Yeah.
Kind of telling that the big bad of Magia Records Season 2 is a character from Madoka original. In that sense. Yeah. I realize we haven't even really talked about like the Wings of Magius like head characters who get a lot more screen time in this season. We get a lot more about them. But I have nothing to say about them. They feel the same way to me now than they did before, which was they're kind of interesting, they're kind of irritating. They have their big plot, and I don't entirely get it. And someone could probably explain it to me, and I still might not entirely get it. Because I don't really wrap my head around the motivation of it. And that's that. They take up screen time, and for all intents and purposes, that should be important, but I didn't walk away with much about them. Besides that, I'm very sold on your theory that Mini Kyubey is actually Ui.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No way it's not.
Yeah.
No way it's not.
For all of you who are like, you could probably go look it up, like it already exists. But what's the fun in that?
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that shit. I wanna be proven right.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, I want to, maybe we can now sort of hop over to Takt Op for a bit, because Takt Op also had a really strong first episode that didn't reflect the rest of it.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It's goofy, it's well animated, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's enough that you start to kind of be like, oh shit, what's going on? And you start like getting hype about it. The characters together are really fun. it really encompasses this idea of a road trip anime, which I loved that idea, but after maybe the third episode, that entire premise is basically dropped. There's some good episodes in Takt. I'll admit that there are good episodes in Takt that go further than just episode 1, but episode 1 is an insanely strong and fun episode.
Yeah. It's weird to see, like, when you've gone a few episodes deep and you look backwards, they've kind of sucked the fun out of it. That's all I can really put to it, is like any of the comedic timing that they had before has like been flattened out. It's not quite the same as Magia record, where I feel like everyone has been put in the rock tumbler and smoothed out so much that like they're all the same flatness, you know? Like, Takt Op doesn't have that. It's still got its rough edges. But even though the characters, like, scrape up against each other, they're not really good foils after a certain point, or they stop being used that way. All these archetypes that they have jumbled together, which would be, like, Takt is kind of this, like, self-centered auteur type. Destiny is the, for lack of a better word, she's like the Ray type, like cold and inhuman, but learning to be. And then Anna is regular. She's normal,
and she's great.
And that's, I love Anna. And then that becomes a foil upon that, right? But somehow that stops working. Like, the way that they steer these characters, they sort of stop, like, bouncing off of each other, because Takt becomes a little less sassy and becomes more apathetic instead. And then Destiny has no one to push off of, and Anna has no one to lecture, and so it just kind of like it falls into a whimper, sort of. Everyone's just kind of insufferable and moaning.
Yeah, and I would even say that the second episode, which is the backstory episode of Destiny, is really good too, where you figure out how Destiny became Destiny. Like, we talk about Cosette, and you have this montage of Takt learning to play the piano for this concert in the park. And Destiny or Cosette at the time has been secretly practicing so that she can be his duo partner. And it's a very, very strong, fun relationship that you see. And it's actually pretty upsetting when Cosette is killed during this time. Their relationship was fun. And then it's not. And then it's done. And you're like, oh, well, that's sad. And then the next episode, it continues that flashback. And essentially what happens is someone summoned D2s to this town so that the music was causing them to go apeshit. And so Takt starts using Destiny, who's in Cosette's body, to fight them. And you see, and that's when you meet Lenny and Titan, who are kind of your secondary team that they run into throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
And those 3 episodes are good. They're well animated. They're very contained. You get to see a little bit more of the characters interacting in a believable and fun way. But after that, you get a very, very long-winded, almost, it's essentially a tutorial for the gacha game.
Mm-hmm.
Where Lenny is teaching Takt how to be a conductor for Destiny. And there's a part where they're fighting in Las Vegas, and at this point, you want to see Titan and Destiny fight, because Titan's fighting style is really fun. She has a shotgun, and she does, like, dance moves with it, and it's cool, it's exciting, and it's fun. But they just sit back, and they're like, here's how you fight. But we, as the audience, don't need to know that. We've already seen that they know how to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We already know that this happened.
Yeah.
So we could just assume that they got better at it.
Yeah. It's amazing that they they start you off being like, hey, look, here's our fun characters. And you're like, all right, cool. And they're like, how would you like to see them be not so fun and work up to being fun? How would you like that? And you're like, okay. And so they're insufferable and like devoid of emotion, and they're just kind of like grinding the characters against each other. Like they're technically interacting and they're like smoothing out each other's edges, but it's, as someone who loves slow burns and unfun things, this show manages to even not do that. It's just kind of boring.
It's interesting because we see into a future where these characters are fun and exciting. We go back, and then we never get back to that future.
Yeah, exactly. You manage to have this midpoint, chronologically, where the characters were having this, like, these fun moments. It's, like, really electric. And that never comes back again. They just stay boring, and then they, like, learn to like each other a little more, and they grow, like, the faintest emotional connection, and they start learning, like, basic decencies towards each other, and like the realizing they should express their feelings and stuff. But then it's done. It's over. And the delta of that, like the change in progress from point A to point B, is nowhere close to getting you to that first episode's quality.
Nope.
It's bizarre.
There's some decent episodes, like episode 6, which is is one of those very slow episodes where they're in a town and Takt falls into a jazz bar and they recognize him because they knew his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so he plays in a jazz bar, and while they're doing that, Anna and Destiny come to realize that Cosette's dead. And Anna has been treating Destiny as Cosette for the entire show. And you kind of see this emotional breakdown of like, I understand that you're not my sister, but you are her body. And Destiny's like, I'm sorry that I'm not her, but I still want you to know that I look at you as my sister. And it's a cute episode.
Yeah.
But it's surrounded by the episode where they are on the train and they meet Schindler, who, by the way, is not named after Schindler's List Schindler. He's named after a composer or a conductor. A German conductor from the 1800s. We looked that up. And you meet another music art who's looks like a custom made Soul Calibur character. What's her name?
Valkyrie,
she's awful. She's terrible looking. Mm-hmm. Destiny's design is good. Titan's design is good. But every single other music art you see is just an awful design. Except for maybe Heaven. But you only see her like twice. And so you meet Schindler, who's like, I'm actually the lead conductor of the Symphonica, which is like this government conductor music art military that they take music arts and they fight the D2s. And so he's like, I have 2. I have Hell and I have Valkyrie. And they look awful. They look so bad. They are just terribly designed characters. Hell is just like an absolute nightmare character who is just, I'm so yandere, I just want to see blood. And Valkyrie is just a nothing. She's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Valkyrie is, I'm a law-abiding citizen who upholds lawful good and law also. Don't embarrass me by praising me because then I get all squeamish.
Yeah, she's like, terrible.
It's just that.
And this is really weird because the other 2 is Lenny and Titan, and I actually really really like Lenny and Titan. Lenny is an ex-Symphonica guy. He's like he basically defected to be an independent contractor, and he took his music art Titan with him, who is like a small child with a shotgun. Their relationship is fun. I really like Lenny's backstory. I like how he treats Takt for the most part. They do some weird, haha, Lenny's gay, so he's going to flirt with Takt jokes, but they're pretty mild compared to some other stuff in anime.
Yeah.
And Lenny is gay. That's like a thing that's just there, and it's not looked at weird by any of the other characters. And his backstory with Titan is really good. But you don't get Titan's backstory, which is weird because, as we know from the lore, that music arts are not they take over the body of a human girl or woman, and that person is dead. And most of the other music arts are adult women, but Titan is clearly a child, and you're like, oh wow, that might be some pretty interesting backstory. Like, why? How did this happen? Why? What is the moral conundrum that we have here? You know, and it's never explored. It's never explored. It's very disappointing.
My guess is that's something that would show up in the game. You know.
Yeah.
So
if you max out Titans,
exactly.
If you max out Titan's friendship meter, you can see that why it was. And you know, you could have done anything to justify it. You know, the girl that she took over the body was dying, right? So in her last bit of life, she gave it up for the greater good. And it's like, oh, there you go. Your moral conundrum's gone. And you made a tragic backstory. But you don't get that, because as the show goes on, the music arts quickly become tools and not characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a part, we watched this with friends, and well, Brantley and I talked about this earlier. There's a part where one of our friends is like, oh no, the main character's a stand-in for the player of the game. It's like, yep, that's the point.
Yep.
And it gets worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do find it funny every time we'll indulge in something like this where you have a stand-in, main character, a self-insert. And they're just the most boring, uninteresting person. You'd think that, like, you'd want a self-insert that acts like episode 1 Takt. Who's can bring some heat,
Yeah, he has like a weird, nice deadpan delivery to his insults.
Mm-hmm. He's strong-willed, but he's also, vulnerable. They've got the bits in the first episode where he just falls flat. It's like, hey, that's fun.
Or when Destiny chucks him into the car,
exactly,
as a bullet, and you're like, oh, that's funny. And I hope that they keep that slapstick in it, because it goes against this character's serious nature.
Yeah, it breaks him down a little bit, builds him back up again, stronger. But yeah, we kind of lose that. I don't want to belabor it too much more, but I just want to say that, I don't think Takt Op is a worse show for having these more moody moments and infusing itself with melodrama. As you mentioned, I also really enjoyed, the whole subplot about, discovering these underground musicians and, the history there, performing for them, and then taking on the task of writing your own music. That is a strong direction to take, and then it just drags. They don't do anything interesting with it, and then in retrospect, when you look at the moments of the show that were fun, you wish you had more of that, as opposed to the potential of what it could be in its melodramatic state. I can envision a world in which Takt Op, really nails that, mood, and that it feels like it's, substantial and worth having, but that's not what the show is. Not to me, at least. It wasn't entertaining, and so I looked to what was entertaining, and I desire that instead. Yep. It's if we got that to work, we should do that, not try something that, is not going to go anywhere, or let it fall limp. I don't know.
Yeah, it ain't good. It's not good. I mean, it's fine. It's gorgeous. The fight scenes are really well done. It is a Mappa and Madhouse production. So they bring their A game.
Sometimes. I think it also drops off on production. It especially near the final episodes, you get a lot of for lack of better words, CinemaSins dings, which is people teleporting around and just things aren't really clear with where people are at, where they're going, and it's just a little too convenient. And all the while the production value's nothing to write home about. And on that note too, you'd think that being a show about music that it would have, great use of it, or at least like a really nice original soundtrack to tie in, or at the very, very least, royalty-free classical music that they can, bust out, but it takes the back seat a lot of the time.
I do have to ask though, Brantley, if they did do classical music, would you have said, "This is just Evangelion"?
No, I would have said, "Oh, this is just Violinist of Hamlin." Which for being a show that moves at about 1 frame per second, Violinist of Hamlin, I feel like does a better job of integrating music into its plot than this show does. Which, is a deep cut that means nothing to anybody, but it means something to me. I guess maybe I'm, in the wrong for walking into this expecting that they'd have fight scenes that are choreographed to the musical beats, but they don't. Very rarely. Most of the time they don't even get a crescendo off the end of the fight properly. They may have to splice the song differently to make it line up and stuff. In my memory, I was never wowed by how they used music with the fights, aside from the first episode. Nothing memorable stuck out,
Yeah, I mean, I scoured that show looking for a specific scene that I swear I remembered, and I could not find it because I thought it would have made a funny gif, but I could not find it. But going back, the small bits where you have Titan run in and bounce and then do spins with the shotgun, and then the kind of finishing blow, almost Zelda-esque stuff that Destiny did, it looks really good. But yeah, it's not. It has really good highs and just really mediocre lows.
Yeah.
And it's not enough to carry the hype of the fights is not enough to carry is not enough to carry that want to continue.
Yeah. Now I maybe want to steer it away from the disappointments for a bit, and I want to ask just what we liked about each show. Just to go one after another, and retarget, just what did you enjoy about season 2 of Magia Record and Takt Op?
I really liked the first episode of Magia Record. I thought that was an incredibly good episode. I like some of the stuff they talk about. If the Doppels were made to be an actual use of a grief seed or something, right? If you break your grief seed like this, you can activate your Doppel. But I could have seen that idea of it being an addicting drug to pay off more. And I really wish that we got more of that in season 1 so that it would have made sense in season 2, because I think that's a really, really strong allegory and analogy. I really think you could do a really good job with the idea of doing these almost drug-like things to wave off your despair, and how that's actually bad could have been really strong. However, we didn't see that until the very end. I think they had the right idea, just not executed well.
Yeah, I'd agree. I like Doppels, and I like that there's a mystery about them. I wish that they didn't take it as far as they did, but I think it's important to press in that I think Doppels are a really good implementation in this universe they've set up. I think if there's one thing that the Magia Record, sort of, continuity has brought to Madoka, Doppels, I would love to see Doppels just there to stay. I just like them.
Yep, I like them too. I would like to see more of them. Also, I like their designs. I like the mask.
How about Takt Op?
Yeah, Takt Op's cool. I like the idea. I think it has a really good premise. I liked the little bit of road trip stuff we got. I'm a sucker for that. I really think Anna was a really well written character. I think her grief and her determination made a lot of sense to fit with what was happening. I think that her joining the military at the end was stupid. But I do know that she is destiny in the game. So that's dumb. But oh fuck, I forgot about something in Takt that I need to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
So at the end of Takt, there's a really good moment. You know what? This actually makes sense because there's a good moment at the end of Takt where Cosette takes over for just like a little bit. Right? Her eyes go back to Cosette's eyes. She looks at Takt, and they talk for like a little bit. And then Takt blinks, and he's left in a white room by himself, and she's gone. I thought that was really strong. Another moment I liked about it is in the Lenny Titan backstory. Titan talks about how he's kind of like a spoil sport, and he's not like a super like happy dude because his best friend Takt dad died. And then Titan says, "I'm gonna smile for you then. I'll smile enough for both of us." And when Lenny dies, Titan's personality almost completely changes. And she becomes more serious, and she doesn't smile as much. And I'm like, oh, that's a neat little thing. But we don't get to see it a ton because they sideline Titan almost immediately. Anna kissed Takt in like episode 11.
Oh god, that did
for
happen.
For like no goddamn reason. And even she says like, I don't know why I did that. And that's bad. That was really bad.
It's difficult for us, I think, to go very long without swooping back into the negative.
Oh, the opening of Takt Op is really good. I really like the opening. I like the visuals of it. I like the song of it. I liked that Schindler was being lied to the entire time. I kind of liked the idea of him being this incredibly gifted white boy that it was given all this shit. And then they were like, we're just kidding. And then he doesn't know what to do with himself. I like that part. But the villains are kind of a mess just in general. Yeah, that's all I can say. What are some things you liked about both of them? What about Magia Record? Besides the Doppels, what did you like?
I like the villain characters a little more, I guess, now that we got to see more of them. Like, I'm more interested in them, for sure. Like, I do want to understand the plot better. I'm just not having a good time of it. So that's something in their favor. Let's see. I'm glad that Saruno got something. I don't think it fit well in this season, but, you know, I don't think they could have fit it well in last season either, so I'll take what I can get. I'm glad that they, you know, at least, you know, brought her character back to Earth. Because one of my main criticisms of Saruno in the first season was that she's kind of a non-character. So they finally, you know, just stamped it down and said, yep, you know, she has issues just like everybody else. We're going to acknowledge it. That's good. And it's thematically appropriate, you know, being around, like, you know, you as a magical girl, your work, your resources, these things are all intrinsically tied together. And it raises important questions about using your doppel. You know, things like, well, if you're a less privileged magical girl, you know, if you have to work full time and then also have to work for your grief seeds, then, you know, yeah, you're going to need to use your doppel more often. I think that it then also makes the potential drug analogy kind of like eye-rolling, but, like, you know, in any case, you know, that ties back to the economic struggle at the basis of Madoka Universe's, you know, economics behind the magical girl contract. It ties well. And I can appreciate what they were going for there. Let's see. We had no ketchup on cheesecake in this season.
We did not, which is a really big disappointment.
Yeah. I think I've pretty much said my piece on Magia Record season 2. For really coming around on season 1, season 2 kind of dropped the ball for me, but we'll see where it goes next. Because it's definitely still going places.
It definitely is. I've never got, as long as it can make money.
Let's see. Okay, I'll also say that, the more time spent with Yachio is also appreciated. Because I still think she's the strongest character of the bunch.
Yeah, she did a good job in this one, too.
Yeah. I still think, like, there's something missing, but I can't pin down what it is, so we're just gonna move along.
I think Yachio is missing a good supporting cast.
Yeah. In the moments where she gets to, like, reunite with Iroha, it's, that has an emotional kick to it. But your mileage is going to vary based on how much you care about the two of them together, right?
Right.
Them as, like, a repairing of, like, the mentor-mentee thing that was happening before Iroha's time. So, your investment of that will, change things.
Right.
On the side of Takt Op, I do like the writer's block premise.
That part was good.
I just don't think they put any energy into it. It's the same thing up until the end. Takt is trying to write something and he can't write something, and it's tiring him out. And then the end comes and he's like, actually, I did write something. And you're listening to it right now. And that's a nice pull, like, but it took like 6 episodes to get there with no progression. It's draining, I think. Sorry, I'm going negative again.
It's hard. It's
hard. I do think that when Takt was motivated to be a jerk, that both Cosette and Destiny could have been good foils for him, like, in different ways. Because Cosette comes to Takt, right? Like, she'll bug him about stuff. She'll come to him to take care of him and to be interested in him. And he gets to kind of play it cool. But then Destiny takes over, and you don't get that anymore. She's not going to pay you any mind, Takt. You have to bring it to her. If you actually care about her and what she meant to you in a different life, and you feel like she deserves a good life now, then you have to be the one to start things. And, I do like that premise. I do think that can work, when putting them together as foils, and they've shown as much, like, in the episodes. It's just that, like, we get to see, for example, if Takt is depressed, then the seesaw that they're both on stops, because Destiny doesn't have the capacity to sort of push off for herself.
Right.
And so, credit where credit's due on that setup. I also think the idea of, like, conductorship for the gacha mentality is neat. I'm not into gacha games, and I'm not about to become into gacha games, but the idea of, like, well, essentially it's the same kind of appeal as Pokemon, where it's like you get to have the third person view of someone else's experience, and you get to do their tactical maneuvering, right? But instead of issuing commands, it's more of like a tango, right? Like, I can dig that. I just I liked it when they had it. And since we'll probably get into themes soon, I do appreciate the themes of, like, overwork and stuff, even if that also never really got resolved.
And, Takt tried to say something about the military-industrial complex being bastards.
Yeah.
It tried to, because, like, Symphonica was responsible for Takt's town getting attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Lenny left because he didn't think that it was, a morally okay thing to do. Also, Op refers to Opus, Brantley.
Oh, so fuck
so
me.
it's Tax Opus. I mean, it could also be like a play on words because it's Tax Opus, but it could also be Tac Op, like tactical operations.
Yeah, but whatever.
But
we don't need to deliberate that on any further. So,
but yeah, I think Tact. Here's what we're gonna talk about here in a bit after we talk about themes. If Tact wasn't a gacha game, I think it would have been infinitely better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
Oh, okay. One more thing.
Oh my god, you're such a bother. You're such a bother.
Hey. Okay, Winnie the Pooh. Calm down there. Look, okay. On the topic of like, hey, what do we like about these things? We wouldn't be like a leftist podcast without dishing out progressive points. So let's cash out. In Takt Op, I can appreciate that Lenny is like a secondary leading character who is a person of color. Like, cool, awesome, done. Like that's you just don't see that all that often, especially not so much among like the other music arts that they've shown off. So like, cool. As far as I know, Lenny can't exist in the actual mobile game itself except in memory. So the fact that, they have this character who's prequel material only, and they decide like, all right, we're going to make this a person of color. I don't know what ethnicity in particular, because
I mean, he's American.
Yeah,
so.
it's Lenny Flyhart. So, it's
his
kind of
last name's Flyhart?
According to the wiki, last I checked.
Dope as hell. Fucking dope as hell.
But the fact that he's a person of color who hasn't been animeized in like the way that Hell has, it feels like his physical characteristics are like appropriate, like being a person of color, and the same goes for the other like background characters in the show, particularly like say episode 6. We have characters who are they're anime, but they're distinguishable as black. Their hair is like of that proper texture, as opposed to, again, like Hell has just kind of like regular straight white hair that doesn't really like naturally occur that way. So it's like, hey, they wanted this to be down to earth in this moment here, and they did it. And the representation works. Done.
Yep.
I'd like to credit that.
They for being a Japanese show, they captured some things of America pretty well, and other things not so well. I think it's funny that they turned Vegas into a farming community. But they did that in Fallout 2. Because it does make a sense, because a Vegas has a lot of irrigation systems to make it so that hellscape of a city can be, survivable.
Yeah.
So in a post-apocalyptic world, you can change those irrigation systems to make, not grass, but corn and shit. It makes sense in a weird, over-the-top, convoluted way, but I'm gonna say that's fine.
Yeah, Takt leans into some like American political grounds that I would not have expected out of it. So kudos. I think that those are some of the more well done aspects of the show, all things considered.
They did get the highway system wrong in Indiana, though, on the Indiana map, which is just an absolute fucking absolute sin, because
I'll also mention like Lenny being gay. Like that's another like your mileage may vary type of thing. As Grant mentioned, it's like it's very muted. Like Lenny doesn't do anything problematic out of it that you might expect out of like a queer coded character normally in anime. Aside from like some flirtatious comments that are passist jokes. But for the different stereotypes that I've seen in like Japanese media like this, like Femio in Princess Tutu's kind of that same vibe. I don't remember the character's name, but in Tiger and Bunny, the flame-based superhero has that going on. He's literally flaming. Dragon Quest XI Sylvando kind of has a Lenny thing going on, where it's like, yeah, this character is flamboyant, but it doesn't feel like, that's the butt of the joke entirely. Like, there's Disco Kid in Punch Out Wii. Anyways, like, small sample size aside, like, if this is a thing that happens in anime that I've observed, it's one of the better done versions of that. It's also a bit boring. Like, Lenny is a bit of he's not a super interesting character all the time because he's meant to be the stabilizer. But, I'll take it. And his sister's in a wheelchair too. And that's nice to see. This show's a bit textbook with its representation, but given that they couldn't nail things like the musical theme, sure, I will take what we can get. Yeah.
So, what are some themes?
I feel like these two shows have a lot in common in this department. Both shows basically revolve around making these one-on-one connections with people. I wonder if it has to do with the gacha. It does. But, like, essentially, if you understand someone better, then you become more combat effective with them, right? In Magia Record, that means you get to pull off super moves when you connect. And in Takt Op, it means that you have basically a better mental link. And so conducting a music art is a more, like, fluid and concentrated process if you understand each other better. Which, at the broader view, zooming out, is really about, like, hey, it's good to understand each other, it's good to connect, it's good to be, to socialize and to hold compassion for each other as a human race. Of course, this becomes a little weird with Magia Record and the little new logistical spins they put on Doppels. We've already talked about how that feels contrived, and how that kind of gets in the way. But for the most part, like, at the very least, if Doppels are not a solution, then what they offer is connect with each other. Learn to work with each other, and that, that's tantamount to surviving as a human race. Takt Op also has its own little road trip into overwork as a topic, and they set it up and they don't really do anything with it. Takt just works himself to death, and Destiny literally dies from that. So, like, it's there, they problematize it, but that's as far as it goes. They just kind of don't take care of themselves. They keep tapping into those shonen energy reserves, and then it's done. Which is disappointing. Takt Op also has themes of restoration, though. In, like, a literal sense, in, like, reconstruction, and a metaphorical sense, in, like, repairing, like, lost trust, and, like, bonding and all that stuff. It's maybe this is cynical to say, but the fact that, like, they cause so much property damage in certain instances, and, like, giving Destiny the gag centered around blowing holes in buildings, maybe makes the restoration element, like, less convincing. But I feel like it was, once again, something that was set up. Set up through the writer's block, and the idea of creation as, like, a motivating force for people. The idea of doing things for each other because you want to, as opposed to, out of these, like, other self-centered gains. That you want to do things because of people. That exists in the shows. I feel like a lot of it in Takt is platitudes, that they mostly talk of it and not actually, walk through it. But yeah, that's what I observed, at least. Do you have any strong feelings about the themes of either season here?
No. I God, I sound like I've been smoking 6 packs a day because of my stupid
Dude, have you been smoking Doppels? What the fuck, man?
Dude, fucking smoking so much Doppels. These shows make me sad. There is this feeling of pure emptiness that I get from watching a show that just has almost no substance beyond selling me something.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you feel that with like some Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess I understand that. But this is that same thing where I'm like, man, there is just no soul in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there couldn't be, but there isn't.
Yeah.
You ready to talk about how these shows did their gacha shit?
I would, but do you mind before then if we squeeze in something? Do you feel like...
But I'm not going to stop you.
Do you feel like these shows can learn anything from each other?
I feel like Takt could learn from Madoka how to do characters in a way. I think if Takt realized that keeping characters consistent, they'd be able to create they'd be able to like, oh, okay, so maybe if we followed the same trend that we had in the first episode, we might have been able to make a more interesting cast. And I think Magia Record could have followed Takt by being like, oh, we don't need to do a completely faithful adaptation of a game that's based on card draws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
What do you think they can learn?
I feel like Takt could have done what it needed to do in 8 episodes, and Magia Record maybe needed a bit more time. So if there was a world in which they could flip flop that, I think that would make a lot of sense. But in general, like, I think there are bits and pieces of each that glimmer as like, see, this could work. You know, like Magia Record, at least season 1 shows that, like, you know, yeah, we can get this like slow burn character building type of thing to work. You know, that Takt Op tries to do. Like, you know, and that has the side story element, you know, that Takt Op tries and, you know, sometimes succeeds on and sometimes doesn't quite as much. You know, so like I suppose I wish these shows were able to be more honest to their strengths, and utilize them. I don't know what got in the way of that, and I don't know that we'll ever know, but if only.
One day all the questions that you've answered on our podcast where you go, I don't think we'll ever know. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna find out what questions, and I'm gonna figure them out just to prove you wrong.
Okay, Jeeves, thanks.
I'll go into like super deep undercover like Japanese exec boardrooms as a translator to like publish to anime news websites on English boards. But in reality, I'm just figuring out what the fuck went wrong with everything that we didn't know. That's my entire goal in life right now. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start doing that. Just to prove you wrong. So what's our opinion on the gacha? Like how did gacha ruin these shows? I'm not saying that they are the sole reason that they ruined these shows, but turning a gacha game into an anime is a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm. I think that here I'll start with what I don't think it did. I don't think that the strict like plot requirements of gacha is what got in the way. Because like when it comes down to it, these two shows have relatively the same structure, which is, you know, you have your central character who's kind of the recruiter, and they're, you know, as they recruit friends, are up against this endless supply of enemy vapor. You know, they're just whatevers. There's a lot of whatevers in the world, and we need to defeat them all. Then you realize, there's actually someone who's organizing and creating all of these whatevers. And Scooby-Doo taught us that the real monsters were human the whole time. And like that can work. You know, there are things that we love that use that structure. Like that's Decadence. That's Kingdom Hearts. You know, that's so many things. So like I don't think gacha necessarily got in the way just because it's gacha and just because of like the setup and spike that gacha normally goes for. But I feel like they were torn on what to actually deliver as an anime. especially when we can compare back to season 1 of Magia Record, which was much more comfortable selling itself as a bunch of little like character circlets hooked together, you know, these little vignettes. Takt Op wants to be this like slow burn, and Magia Record wants to be this like high speed, like, you know, climactic finisher that's 8 episodes long. And both of them have like too much time on their hands for what they're trying to do, and also not enough. Like I don't feel like they used their time wisely because they were trying to not be gacha. That's my take on it.
Yes, that makes sense. I think there's a lot of problems when you're trying to turn a gacha game into an anime. I think that having like Takt kind of sucks because he's a gacha character,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that Magia Record trying to do a 1-to-1 retelling of a story that is based on a game that has been separated out into events over years and years and years, that has literally hundreds of characters in it, is a miserable experience.
Yeah.
Especially when one of those characters is surfing Sayaka, and you didn't include a surfing episode. Just a fucking miss on the what you can do with it department. But I honestly think that's a really a struggle, right?
Did you know that if you take Sayaka to the move tutor who's next to the cave, if you take a right on the route and you cut the bush, then you can teach Sayaka surf. But first you have to press up, down, and then up again, and B, A, and then
you have to catch the legendary Kyoko under the truck first. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like you have this nonsense game that's supposed to have a bunch of nonsense in it, and then you try and make it Madoka.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And I would have much rather they just focused on I would have rather had either a prequel, or I would have rather them ignore the events and write their own original story using the characters from the gacha game. And then that maybe once they do an anime with the characters, then they could have added them to the gacha. Mm-hmm. I think what these two shows are missing, the one show that these two shows could have learned everything from, was Reivu Starlight. Where you make something first, right? Takt wanted to do that. Takt wanted to make something first, but its still entire purpose was to sell the gacha. I feel that Reivu Starlight made their shit first, made the anime what they wanted to be, and they built the gacha around the anime, not the anime around the gacha. And I think that's where I'm getting dejected from. These soulless advertisements for games, and I just can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that they work, because I know that people are interested in playing this game.
Yep. Remember to stop by your Toys R Us to get your mystery gift Sayaka with the moves.
Well, a shiny mommy at GameStop.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you pick up a special small cube.
Hey, I like small cube.
Get it at the download event at GameStop now.
See, I got suckered because I would love a small Cube plush. See, you make Cube good and small, you're like, oh man, I can't hate this guy.
Easier to punt.
So, hypothetical time?
Hypothetical time.
What's your hypotheticals for me?
I
got a couple. I got one.
You want to do yours first, or do you want to do
yours?
Okay.
Sure. So, music arts are awakened by hearing a specific type of music, right? And then they're named after that. Like, Valkyrie was named after Rise of the Valkyries, and I don't really care about what the other people were named after. But I know that they are. You're listening to a music, and suddenly your music art awakens. What is the song that awakens the music art in your soul, Brantley?
Oh, that's a good question, because I love a lot of music. It's gotta be Patty Sand Canyon. For those who don't know, a long time ago, it was getting popular to take clips of anime and splice them together, and stitch them into an existing song. One of which was using Patty from Lucky Star in order to replicate a song from Kirby's Dream Land 3. And so you could look it up on YouTube now. You go look up Patty Sand Canyon. It's a classic.
It's a classic.
It probably sounds like hell to anybody who didn't grow up with it, but goddamn, I love that song. And I'll do my absolute best to quote it verbatim with my mouth sounds whenever I remember it again, to everyone's dismay who's around me at the time. So it has to be that. It just has to be. It's in that cross section of like being like I like it as a song, and also like it was an formative part of my life as an anime viewer. So that's that. Has to be that.
Oh, okay, that's a really good answer.
What about you?
So if we're talking about the life of our anime viewer that spawned our music art, it would probably be Fukatoreta. That song was my fucking shit when I was 14. I was like, hell yeah, anime peaked here and it's never getting better. How right I was. But the real answer is City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, yeah.
Song kicks ass. Not my favorite songs, but they definitely would have made me want to go fight some bitches.
I'm trying to visualize like the awakening moment of that. And I can only imagine that like as soon as it happens and your music art awakens, you just like it's like you can't stop running because you're you're going down an incline, but
Mm-hmm.
like you're on perfectly flat ground.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like you just cannot
100%.
stop running.
Oh, I mean, I can't do that now. Always anxious to go. Who's not to say that I didn't actually that didn't create my inability to sit still, and that I am secretly a superhero that needs to fight people that fucking hate music.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only hypothetical for you, but I thought you would enjoy it.
Alrighty, well, good, because I've got a two-parter. Okay, so my hypothetical is, if you had to put one character from Magia record into Takt Op, who would it be?
Yachio.
Yeah.
Everything is better with Yachio. I don't give a shit about any of the other characters in Magia record as much as I care about Yachio. And I think Yachio being in there would be just the absolute... She's pragmatic, but she also is able to talk about emotions. She almost already fits in the Anna kind of motif, but she's just a lot more serious. Also, Destiny loves to eat sweets, and Yachio can get great deals at the local grocery store by cutting coupons.
Yeah, she can go with her best friend Madoka. I'll never live that down. Yeah, I feel like you could just replace Destiny with Yachio, and that would make for a better dynamic in the show as it currently is. Because if you essentially, because Takt kind of just goes limp in the story, right? Like he just kind of like, leave me alone, like I don't want to deal with this, and like don't bother me, and I need to write, and that kind of thing. Oh, by the way, when they bring him the world's most pathetic instrument to try to...
Oh, the Melionica? That part was fucking dope as hell.
Yeah, that is good. I do like that part. But like having Yachio as like a disappointed caretaker in place of Destiny, who'd normally be more just kind of like ambivalent to what Takt does, I feel like that would be a much more interesting dynamic to me. Okay, so now reversing that, if you had to transplant one character from Takt Op into Magia record, who's it gonna be?
I think honestly Titan would fit almost 1-to-1 to be a magical girl.
Oh yeah.
She's bubbly with trauma. She already has like that, like she is the closest thing we have to a magical girl. She even has the fucking trio finale attack that Mami has where she summons a bunch of guns and shoots a bunch of fuckers.
Yeah.
She absolutely 100% could be in that show, straight up.
That's an excellent...
Who is yours, Brantley?
Anna, so she could drive the truck.
She would not have flipped that bitch.
And with that, I think it brings us to the end of our review.
Yeah, man. See, we did not have enough to talk about for a long episode because it took us an hour and a half to talk about 2 shows.
Yeah.
What's
up next?
What is up next? We just finished another gotcha show, but not gotcha. Gotcha, man, crowds.
We also got through Zombieland Saga Revenge, a show which we've seen the first season of and reviewed.
Yeah.
But now we
But
got.
I liked the fact that I had the gotcha man joke crowds in this episode.
Yeah, that was pretty important that we got that in there. So
I think we're gonna be doing Zombieland Revenge. It was really good. Spoiler alert, I loved it. So I'm really excited to talk about that. And then we'll probably do Gotcha Man crowds.
Yeah. Got a bit of a backlog going.
We do. For once in our pathetic lives, we're ahead on schedule. Thank you so much for listening to us inanely ramble about capitalistic policies making anime bad. If you liked what you listened to, you can subscribe to our channel. We just we've been a little slow recently. Work's been getting up on us, but we're gonna keep going. We have our High Guardian Spice review, which we just posted like 3 weeks ago, which is insanely long. But that is our currently most viewed episode. We stream on Twitch every Monday. We tend to do indie games. We've been streaming Hero Hours Contract, which is a game that I'm in love with. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll be linked in the description. You can see our My Anime list, which we're going to update here soon, and see what we think about all your favorite anime. You don't need to do any of that, though, because we are not your dads.